Hey, we are back. Hello, welcome to the Best Friends podcast. My name is Lee Marie. This is my best friend Robin, and we are here for episode 3. And this is part 2 of friendship breakups, the long-awaited. Sorry for the break, guys. We have been slammed, and we'll give you life updates, but probably not in this episode because we don't. We just need to get right back into it. So if you have not watched part 1, go ahead, go back, watch part 1. We're talking about specifically our friendship history, and where we left off in part 1 was right before a period that we're going to call the dark months. Not quite the dark years, the dark months.
Thank goodness it didn't last years. Yeah.
But I just want to say at the very start, and I've said this before, I'm a firm believer that the basic principles of a healthy relationship go across the board. So whether you're dealing parents to children, whether you're dealing siblings, friends, family, romantic relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, serious committed relationship, husband, wife, there are dynamics that, yes, they take different shape and form, but the basic principles are the same. So when we talk about friendship breakups, it's the same as a relationship breakup, and there's the same, you have to work on communication skills, and like a lot of people aren't maybe blessed enough to have serious relationship like friendships, if you know what I mean. Like a lot of us have a circle, like a social circle, but then having those deep friendships that are really committed, it does take on the form of more of a relationship. And so then you have these dynamics of communication, miscommunication. You might go through friendship breakups in your life. You might, get back together. Thankfully, well, you guys know we're both sitting here, so we're back. But where we left off, I had left a company that we were both working for, but I was originally advised by you to leave, which was a huge confirmation for me, because and we'll go into that whole story in another episode, but that was one of my biggest concerns with leaving the company was I didn't want to leave Robin. And by her coming in and saying, totally without me even bringing it up, hey, I think you need to get out of this situation, was a huge indicator to me of, yes, I need to get out of this situation, because you saw at that point without me even bringing up that I was thinking about quitting, that I needed to get out. And so that was kind of where we left off last time. I was out. You threw me a party when we left, kind of just like a goodbye thing. But then things started getting a little chilly after that. You had sent me an email. I replied, kind of just saying, hey, what's up? I replied a little bit polite.
Well, she didn't reply at all first. I had to send 2 emails.
Really?
And the second email, I just asked for a reply. Can you at least give me something? To which she replied back very politely.
Oh yeah, it was like the type of
nice
reply that you get. It was like an automated reply.
Yeah,
that's what it was
exactly
like.
how it
Automated
went,
reply. And you replied back, got it. That's it. I think I actually still have all these emails. I had to keep them just in case legal things came up. Not for her, because of this company, which we will, I mean,
Yeah.
a preview of coming attractions. We are going to do an episode just specifically on our experiences with this company. But yeah, as far as friendships go, so this was in January of last year. Now the cool thing, which I will just testify to, it was just the Lord. But I had asked him to provide me with like 3 signs for leaving this. Like, give me 3 confirmations that I should leave this company. One of them was actually Robin. But another one was a job opportunity. So I started doing online coaching with my current company now, Glam Girl Bikini. Hi, if you want to do a bodybuilding show, hit me up. Shameless plug. But I'm doing that in January, and just completely switched gears for work and the circle that I'm with. I mean, definitely did leave a pretty big hole in my friendship area because like we were best friends and like I would tell you everything and then like I had my family. That's one side of my, they're my best friends too. I tell them everything. But then other than that, I kind of didn't really have anyone. And the the crazy thing is it kind of opened the door for me to start talking to another friend of mine, which I want to have her on the podcast at some point too, because her and I have a really great story about best friend breakups. But um, she was a friend of mine from Minnesota, and we kind of reconnected again. And it was just kind of like I had this hole, and like I didn't have anyone to tell everything to. And then I don't know where you want to go from there. You can talk about.
I mean, it was awful for me. I think I was in denial for quite a long time. I yeah, and I think it was so hard for well, it was hard for me for many reasons because literally like our friendship was everything to me. Like it was everything to me. And so uh
Okay, I want to point out though. I want to talk about like this is what I was thinking about this episode earlier. No, I think it was last night. Was it last night that I texted you? I had this great realization about, and I think part of something about Robin is she is if you take any personality test or whatever, her sense of loyalty is the strongest part of her personality. Like she is loyal to a fault, and you will say that about
yeah.
yourself. So here's the problem, and I want to illustrate it like this. If you have been a sibling or if you have kids, your firstborn is often quite well behaved and like, give or take, at least are at home around you guys where there's no one else to impress. So often the firstborn only has to impress mom and dad, right? Then you got the second born that comes along and they have to impress mom and dad and their sibling. So often they're a little mischievous because they're doing stuff to impress their sibling and their mom and dad. Or they're torn. Do I do this and impress the siblings or do I do this and I feel like in a way, in a very kind of generalized way, you had that experience because the biggest thing for me when I left the company was I was counting on you fighting for me to get some things that the company owed me, which you said you were going to do and you tried to do, but I didn't realize you tried to do them. But at the same point, your loyalty to the company at that point was still very strong. And that like you said, you're loyal to a fault. I was loyal to a fault to this company until I, started seeing the signs and quit. But that is just part of who we are too, because of when we that's why we're kind of careful about who we work for. But like when we work for someone or when we join someone, we're very loyal to that brand. And so I think you were kind of torn between still being loyal to this brand, but also trying to fight for what they owed me.
Yep.
And you were kind of caught in this. I can't survive here. I can't make my boss happy. I can't like risk, I can only do so much. And then here's my best friend. And I told her, that I would do that. You know what I mean? You were
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
this,
and I absolutely did try to fight for you, and then it came to a point where I mean, I needed my job at that time, right? And I would have lost my job.
Mhm,
Like I would have over that fight.
mhm,
And so do I carry guilt for that? For sure. Like 100%. And I own it all. I own it all. Um it was really hard for me too. Like I traveled a lot,
mhm,
and a lot of the people that I worked with had also worked with her. Everybody knew how close we were. And then she left, and I would go to these places,
mhm,
and I would be constantly asked, "How's Lee doing? How's
mhm,
Lee doing?"
mhm.
And
Oh
I hadn't
gosh.
talked to her, and that was heart wrenching.
Mhm.
So now we have these people who are now reaching out to us, going, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you guys back together," because that's the kind of friendship we had,
Yep.
right? So,
Yep. Yep.
so
We're like a BOGO deal. Like buy one, get one.
It's true.
It's
It's
true.
true. It's true. I think I went through all of the stages. grief and sadness and depression,
Mhm.
and then I got real pissed off.
Mhm.
I got really pissed off at her for just cutting me off.
Mhm.
Now I get exactly why she did it, but I was real mad for a minute. So mad that I don't know if you know this, and you probably do know this, that
I don't know this. Oh my gosh.
I had followed you on Instagram.
Follow me on Instagram. That's funny. Okay, that is funny. That is why. Oh no, no, no.
I
This is
couldn't. I
why.
couldn't watch any of her stuff though, so I had to unfollow
Oh,
and.
this is why you have the mute button.
Yeah, I tried that too, but then I couldn't help myself from searching your shit, and so I just like.
Did you block us already?
I just
Okay. No, I gotta figure it out. So really, you had to do it for yourself because you couldn't help
Yes,
yourself.
yes, and it was painful for me to see you working out with somebody else. Now
Yeah.
that still is a little painful for me when I see her working out with
Do I
somebody
work
else.
out with other
No,
people?
I'm teasing.
I don't really
I'm
work out
teasing.
with anyone.
Just
besides
to
you.
whoever you work with, whatever.
Unless they're
People
my
you train.
clients.
Anyway.
Okay. If it makes you feel better, I only post the best friend song on our.
I know that.
So.
Oh, listen.
Guys, pro tip: if you're in a spat with your friends, just
Follow
mute
back.
them. Okay, follow back. Thank you. Okay, just mute them. You can mute their stories and you can mute their posts. I do that quite often when I'm annoyed at people. Or if I just like, I keep my Instagram super clean. Like, I literally, the people that I have that pop up on my Instagram are people that I actually want to see their content. So they're either people that I follow that are friends from other places and I want to see what they're doing, or they're people that have education content for either fitness and nutrition or spiritual content. So or like mental toughness content or some political content. So I'm very careful to manage my feed. This is just a side rant here. To manage my feed so that the people that pop up in my stories and on my feed are people that I want to keep track of and watch. So I probably only have maybe like 10 to 15 that pop up. Now I follow like 300-400 people, but I got them all muted. Like I go through and everyone's muted so that my feed is literally this tight circle. Now I put out content all the time and I want people to follow me and I want to make my content valuable. And I try to interact. So if you DM me on Instagram, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna write back to you. But that's just a pro tip. Just unfollow people unless you can't help yourself.
But
like if it's an
exactly,
ex,
because
or if
remember,
it's like toxic for you.
Remember,
What?
I've stalked you from the beginning on Instagram. So
So it's not good for your mental health. So
it was not
okay,
good for
I'm
my-
glad we got that handled.
Yeah.
So you guys, she follows me on Instagram now. Okay. Okay. So we're moving on. So but during this time you were pissed off because I had moved on. Of course I had moved on because my brain goes, okay, well, we write this person off and we move on. And I bottle it up and I move on and we're good to go. And because I've always done that. My whole life I've had people come and go and come and go and come and go. And it was like, that was the phase. That was my friendship with Robin phase. And we came and we went.
Yeah, and it took me a minute to get to that point, but I finally did come. It was probably maybe March or April where I realized, okay, this thing, it's really over. Like it's over. Like and I was happy for the experiences we had because we had done a lot in just that short amount of time. I spent months missing her. And then I got pissed off and then I just came to accept it, I guess, like it's over. So I would reach out occasionally every now and again, like just something on Instagram, or I would try to shoot you a text or something with maybe you would reply back with a 1-word answer, and I'm like,
Okay.
cool, she's still real
Yeah.
cold, so
Mhm.
so I see where we're at, so yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it was a pretty, and I wasn't aware of all the effort that you'd put in because we never sat down and talked
Right.
again. But all I had heard was from these two girls that we used to work with that you had said don't talk to her anymore. And then so one of the things was I was owed a lot of money by this company. I was told that I would get the money. I have like proof that I'm supposed to be paid this money, and yet every time I tried to reach out to get the money, I was just threatened by lawyers. And so I don't have the resources necessarily to take someone to court. So finally I was just like, okay, whatever. But that was kind of my biggest thing was like, just, okay, what the heck? Like they owe me so much money and she's not doing anything about it. And that's what I was thinking in my head.
Well,
Like,
and at
because I
that
didn't
point,
know.
I was high up in the company, so
Right.
I should have been able to do
Well, you were
something
high
about
up in
it.
the company, but I should have known that in this company that has no, like you didn't really have any power.
No,
You know
zero.
what I mean?
Especially when
Like,
it came to anything like that, like
yeah,
zero, like nothing.
literally
And in
nothing.
fact, it would like go the exact opposite direction for me had I pushed. So,
Right.
you know,
And you
we
and I
know
have
how quick
seen
that happens.
when people push in this company how fast they get sued, the amount of lawsuits that are brought up. And if you're, I mean, even if you are completely right and the lawsuit coming against you is completely wrong, it costs you so much money to fight a case that it's like it wasn't worth it for me at that point. It was like the amount of money they owe me, yes, it's a lot of money that they, they never paid me that money, but I would have paid way more in lawyer
Yeah.
fees if I would have had to like take it to
Yeah.
court for it. So it was like, okay, well, whatever. So anyways, so March you kind of moved on. The summer we didn't really, did we have any sort of,
Nothing.
so what was it? You reached out to me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so in August, the same company, I started to get pushed out. And I was put on a unpaid leave of absence, against my will.
Which I don't think is a thing.
But that's what happened, and so, the first person I contacted was her. And I said, I
Why?
don't even remember what I said.
Did you feel like did you feel like she'll finally take me seriously because this is happening? Or do you
Yes.
feel like I can talk to her without getting in trouble because I'm already kind of in trouble?
Oh no, I could have talked to you that entire time without being in trouble. Like
Okay.
that wasn't a thing ever for me.
It was
I
kind of like
didn't
I'm
feel
working for her enemy. I can't.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was I thought one yes, I thought that you would finally talk to me again. If you knew what I was dealing with. And I don't even remember what I said. I'd have to go back. We text too much to be able to find it, but
Was it a text or an email?
it was a text. I text you and you text me back.
Yeah, and I think it was a sort of like a let's get together kind of thing. And I jumped on it. I jumped on it.
No, you were the one who suggested it. I texted you and I said, this is going on. It wasn't even a long text, but she immediately, we should meet for coffee. And the very next day, we met at our walking trail. We went and had coffee. We had Chipotle. Like,
Yeah,
we oh my gosh.
and we hashed out a bunch of stuff. I mean, not everything,
No.
but enough so that I think when we left, it was like, oh, cool, we're friends again.
Yeah.
That
And
was what it
even because even at that point, I thought I held out, and this is how effed up I was in my head, right? I held out hope that I would be going back to work for this company. And this one's like, hell no, you better not. And then as time went on and things progressed and I was starting to see the writing on the wall, I hadn't accepted, it takes me a while to accept shit and stuff. So, also, whatever.
This podcast is not for children.
We didn't listen. But the further we got into, further along I got into it, and all the thing I was grasping at straws how I could stay, because one, I needed a job. I didn't think I was qualified enough to get a job outside of what I was actually doing. Weird. I am.
Yeah, I had to hype this girl
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I really did.
So we met up a couple of times during that time, and I think the last time we met up, I think I told I had interviewed for F45, and so I was at that, and I cleaned out my office. That was a huge step for me. And I think then you were starting to realize, okay, this is a thing. And then from there, it's just
Yeah.
But
If you really want to impress me, follow through in what you say you want to do.
yeah.
And that's, I think that goes for trainers across the board, the type of people that are trainers, because we see so many people state goals, but they don't actually follow through. And we know that you can. Like, you say a goal out loud, that means that you have the ability to do that goal.
Yeah.
Just saying, if you say it, you can do it.
It was just super scary.
But it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to take that step.
And I would say even when we got back, right, we met up a few times, whatever. It took us a while to get where we started talking about the hard stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we
Okay, because I am not a messy person. I don't like getting in
she
the dirt.
internalizes all of it. Like,
Yeah.
she's fine, I'm
I
fine, everything's fine, it's fine, we're fine.
We're good. Good to go. So
That does
gradually.
Yeah, and it's happened, I mean, really organically too, I feel like, where we've been out for walks, and she is like the thing with the girls, when you brought that up to me.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was like, I
when
didn't
the girls
even know that was a thing.
Said that, yeah, and then she
and at that point,
explained.
immediately during that walk, I owned it. I apologized profusely because, yikes, yuck,
yeah.
gross.
Right.
The fact that you've been holding that for so long, you know, and I own a lot of what happened with us. She does too, but like, literally the last 8 months, like I own all of that. So,
well, same. I think we both own it.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really important to be able to, and this takes humility, but it also takes a great deal of security in yourself. To just be patient with people like me that don't like dealing with the mess.
Yeah.
If you are chill with us, eventually we'll open the door a little bit and we'll deal, because we feel safe that we can deal with one thing and it won't deal with everything.
Right.
Getting stuck dealing with everything and a whole boatload of emotions is too scary for us. So we want to keep that door locked shut until we're like, oh, they're chill, they're fine. Okay, well, let's bring up this one. You know?
Did you see when I just got a little emotional a little while ago, how she just jumped in and just like, nope, we're not doing that.
So I need to get better at that though, because people love that. When you get real and get emotional, people love it. And
I wear my
if I ever cry on this podcast, you guys are in for a treat, because that is not going to happen. But hey, it might. It might. I literally was almost in tears just now because, guys, side note, I just got caught. I mean, I caught someone like stole my credit card number. So I like went into straight panic number. I'm like almost crying here. Like I don't know what to do, all this stuff. Okay, so yeah, anyways. Robin's like, you're fine, you'll be fine. Just call them, they'll get your money back. Banks are really good at that. So anyways, that was me. I we had the camera rolling a little while ago and I was in tears. But so yeah, so that's like hint for I don't even know how to call my personality versus, I mean, I don't know what is it. I know there's like in a relationship there's like the avoidant and the, what is the other word? The avoidant and the anxious or something like that. Anxious attachment avoidant. I think I'm maybe more the avoidant. I don't know if that has to do with
100%.
Does that have to do with getting in the mess and the emotions and stuff? And so like I think with somebody that, I mean, first of all, I need to recognize that in myself, and you're always learning and you're always growing. And I actually was talking to the Lord about this the other day, and thinking about this friendship and other friendships that I've had, and um how, like, for me it's like I'm learning these lessons that actually, like, I think a lot of people learn in marriage
Mhm.
because that's like, I think a lot of people just have, that's like the first time they're thrown into a friendship that's that deep, and it's like it's, you're forced to live with this person,
Mhm.
like you are deep in it. And like us, we work together every single day, we would go on these trips, we would like, it was like that same type of relationship where you get really close to somebody. But it's like I'm thankful I went through this whole thing with you, and it's like
Yeah,
if I can learn these skills, because relationships take skills, right?
yeah.
And so if you can learn about yourself, what are your strengths and your weaknesses,
Mhm.
and then how you interact with other people, and how you can let them know, hey, this is going to trigger me to shut down,
Mhm.
and I know this something that I do might trigger you to get super emotional and clingy. And it's like, here's how we work. If you can give me a little space, then I can give you a little, like,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, and the push and pull. And so carrying that into like a relationship like marriage or a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, I think that can be like invaluable. So start seeing your friendships as like, it's the same thing, you're always working on those skills of relating with people.
If it's important enough to you, you'll
Mhm.
learn to work through it, right? Like we've been friends a long time.
Mhm.
It's taken us 4 years to get to the spot we're at right now. Where I mean, we really do now. I feel like we're calling each other out. Like if I think she's pissed at me, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, what's up?" Same. She just did it to me the other day. I'd be like, "You're ghosting me. What's up?"
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I did. That's a
Yeah.
good point. And because you can tell with people when they, if anything happens out of the ordinary. So usually, like, at least lately, you've been texting me like a good morning, the good morning text. Oh my gosh, you're like my boyfriend. No, but she would text me like the good morning, like, hey, I hope you have a happy Monday. And I hadn't got that in a few days, and I was like, what is up with this girl? She must be pissed at me. And so then I literally like called you out on it, because I was like, I feel like tell me what's up. What did I do?
Right.
But then she was able to be like, and I don't know if this was true or not. Were you really annoyed with me, or were you just really like,
No,
she
I
was
was not
stressed
annoyed
out
with
of
you.
her
I've
mom?
got a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah. And so then I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Good
and
to
that's what
know.
I said. I said literally not avoiding you, just avoiding life in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
Sorry,
And then
and I
that,
apologize because I mean, I do. I know how she takes things like that. Communication is her love language. She needs to be talked to, and even if it's once a day, like
yeah,
hi,
yeah.
hope
Yeah.
like just a
Or
chat.
like, because if it's not like, if it's not usually once a day, that's fine. But like whatever it usually is,
Right.
if it's not that,
Right. Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I need,
Yeah, and I did
we're
go
okay.
kind of ghost over the weekend, that's for sure. So, but
But
the fact that
again,
she brought it up with me and didn't internalize it and turn it around like, oh my God, she's mad at me, and then she stops talking to me, and it turns into this whole thing, which it has before multiple
yep,
times. Like
yep.
I feel like we've
Yes.
gotten past that. So,
I'm working on it. We're
yeah,
growing.
yes,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
so good.
yes,
And
yes.
I want to say too, because in the middle of all this, while actually I think it was maybe after we started talking again, but just last summer, fallish. This is side note, and like I'm letting you guys
Oh,
into
I don't
this
know
girl's
what
life.
you.
I got on dating apps for the first time. So, so I'm like, yeah, your girl is mid-30s, never been on a dating app ever, never really been on a date. One time, maybe I'll talk about it sometime. I had one relationship like in my, was I 30? I think I was 30 maybe. I don't know, it was a while ago. If you guys comment enough in these comments, I'll talk about it. Um, but so anyway, so I had two friends that were like, you gotta get, you gotta get on dating apps, Lee. Like, this is the way people are meeting now. You're in your mid-30s, like, you're not getting any younger. Get on the freaking dating apps. And I'm like, dating apps are dumb. They don't work. I'm like, whatever. So anyway, so where was I going with this? So I get on the dating apps. Oh, so this lady has been married almost as long as I've been alive, and I'm not kidding. And so she's like a pro. And so I think you, even just the last few months, like you giving me advice. Also, side note, dating apps really do suck. Like I've been on and off them. Like I routinely delete them. But you giving me advice for dating relationships has helped me learn about friendships. Like especially things like communicating.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's not communicating with you, don't just internalize it and make all these assumptions and tell me. Text the dude or message the dude and ask him. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where it's like, oh, then when it happened with you, it was like, oh, I'm just gonna text her and ask her.
Yep.
Like you learn
And
it
so
goes
easy.
both ways.
Yes.
You know? And so, okay, so it's been like a process. And I think a big thing, and this was not like the thing, like we kind of gradually started hanging out more and more and more and talking, but a big thing was when you asked me to coach for F45, and it was like, oh, we're back like
Yeah.
together again. Even though I coach one class a week.
And it makes absolutely no sense that she does it, but she does it for me. Because
Literally only.
I needed a coach for one class. It makes zero sense for her to drive all the way up to me, coach
For me to
one class,
clear
and
out
drive
my
all the way
entire
back.
schedule on one day a week.
But it was no big deal to her. Like she was just like she was in. Like I mean, that to me was like okay. We're back.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
back.
yeah. So we're back, and I don't even know what time we're at here, but I think we have time for some questions. So we did get some questions
We
on
gotta
the
talk about the
relationship.
tattoo.
Oh, should we talk about the tattoo?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did I ask you? I got this idea, and it came from Instagram because I saw this. Literally, I saw this on Instagram. You can see this part with a dot. It just popped up and I screenshotted it. It was one of the ads. I don't even know what it was for, but it was this graphic. I screenshotted it. I was like, that is so sick. And I got this idea in my head that it would be a really cool tattoo. And then I was like, but I've always thought if I ever get a tattoo, it's going to have to be with someone. I want to get matching tattoos with somebody. So I would either get, and I talked about with my sister about getting sister tattoos a while back, but it kind of never came up again. And then, or if I get married, like getting a tattoo with the dude. But then at that point, I think it was probably right after I deleted the apps again. And I was like, this is never gonna happen. I'm never gonna get married, so let's just get a tattoo, right? So I was like, okay. And I literally saw this and I immediately thought about us and our friendship and how with everything that we've been through and everything that we're probably still going to go through, it doesn't really matter because we love each other, period.
Period.
And that's what it means.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's get this tattooed us. And then I wasn't sure if she would go for it, but she loves tattoos. So what did I say? I was like,
we were like texting a lot one night, like deep texting a lot. And I don't remember what, but like we were digging into a couple of different areas. And then you text me, you go, okay, I have this idea and you're probably going to think it's dumb.
we're like, tell me
what? Tell me. And she sent me that picture and she said, I think we should get this tattooed. And I'm like, oh my god! I know, like literally because, well, for one thing, she's always talked about getting a tattoo, but she's very like it needs to make sense for her, and it needs to mean something, right? So the fact that this number one was her idea, and number two that she chose me, like, oh my god, she really is my best
okay, but
friend.
this is like, that's my
oh dumb.
Total cheese here. Extra cheesy pizza. Right here. This podcast is extra cheese. But I think this was a huge breakthrough for me too, because it did kind of break me out of the cycle of assuming all my friendships are going to fizzle out, just
Yeah.
like all my relationships have. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I've been super close with my family, and it's like family is the only thing that's going to last. and thinking like, okay, friendships, and it's fine to have those friendships. And I want to say like it's okay to have phases and seasons of life. Sometimes I think when people get married and start having kids, sometimes certain friendships do phase out and you get new friendships because you're in a different area of your life. And I do have some friendships from my childhood and like teenage years and 20s that when we had something in common, it made sense for us to be friends. But when we didn't anymore, it's okay to let those go. And you don't have to feel pressure to stay in contact and keep up friendships with people if it feels like work. Now, it doesn't mean they're enemies, but it's okay to choose where you invest your time and energy and which friendships are worth that. And it's okay to have boundaries. You don't have to be everyone's best friend. So I
Yeah.
want to say, like, that is okay. Protect your own time and energy, especially if you're an introvert and you need to have, a very tight knit, close circle. But also, I think it really did kind of burst my theory of all of my friendships are just going to be phases. Like all of my relationships, besides my family, are just going to be phases. And it kind of helped build my faith that maybe, I will have a relationship one day that is forever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so, anyways, tattoos.
It also
like,
kind of makes no sense that we're friends either, just due to our age and like I'm married and 5 kids and grandkids,
Yeah.
and she's on dating apps.
I mean, I'm not
Not
currently. I
currently,
am
not
not currently on
currently.
dating apps. Please do not apply. But if you want to know which ones suck the least, shoot me a DM. I'll give you the rundown because I've been on a few. They all suck, but some suck less than others. Just saying. Now, okay, I do have some questions that I got from Instagram, and I'm actually going to check my Instagram just in case someone sent in another question. Look, Robin Winkler started following you.
I didn't follow you back because I knew you'd get that notification.
I love it. Okay.
That's the
So, but
best
I
part
do
of
have
the
some
podcast.
questions. I think we have time for them. If you are listening to this and you have questions concerning our friendship, concerning advice on friendships, concerning, relationships, listen, I have zero wisdom to give you on relationships, but this lady has tons. So go ahead and ask us. Okay. So, question number one. Some of these happened a long time ago because we were supposed to record this 2 weeks ago. So sorry about that. But here is, I loved this question. Okay. How to handle friendships with people who have drastically different beliefs than yourself? I love this question. I think you can go a couple of ways with this. I think you can go beliefs like as far as religious and spirituality, beliefs in God, but then also political beliefs. I think those are the main two areas where our beliefs really are center to the way that we live our lives. And for me, um, I think you just have to know yourself and know the friendship. And I mean, you can be friends with people that have different beliefs. If you couldn't be friends with people that had different beliefs than you would have zero friends
Yeah.
because we all have different upbringings. So even if you have the same faith, you're going to have a different way of expressing it, a different way that a different way of thinking about it, just because you are so influenced by the family you grew up in, the church you grew up in, the city and atmosphere where you grew up in. Your views are going to be slightly different than others, and that's the cool thing about having friendships is they can open up your views to kind of be challenged and have your faith challenged and things like that. Politically, I think it's really important to be able to have friends that you can debate with, argue with, things like that, but you got to know kind of your limits and stuff. And I don't know. I think if someone has a vastly different belief than you and you actually disagree with them on some things, you kind of just have to gauge, what do we have in common? Do we just talk about that? Do we have the friendship where we can challenge each other's faiths and beliefs? Um I don't know if I would get into, like she said, specifically friendships. So
I think
if,
it's a respect thing too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You respect where each other stand. You may not fully agree with everything,
Mhm.
but if you can have respect for the other person's opinions and values, right? If it's
Yeah.
vastly different, then maybe that's just one bridge you don't cross, right? If
Mhm.
your friendship is important enough to you, there are some topics that may just be off limits, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know, but for like us, I mean, we both have a strong faith life, right? But she asked questions about, I'm a Catholic, so I got her this book. I'm like, it will answer all your questions. And
But
so,
I'm still, so I posted something about that, and one of my Catholic friends that I grew up with from Minnesota commented back on it. She said, "It's so cool that you're reading that because a lot of Catholics haven't even read that whole thing."
yeah,
And for me, I wrote back, I was like, mad respect. A lot of Christians have not even read the whole Bible or haven't read it enough to be able to quote and so, like, for me, I don't know if you knew what you're getting into when you gave me that, but for
yeah,
me, I'm gonna be like,
I knew
okay,
she was gonna
what
like
about this? How do you
dissect
feel
it.
about this? Like,
Yes,
and that's really cool to be able to have somebody that challenges your faith, because even somebody with, like, for me, I grew up believing a lot of things just because my parents taught me, and I grew up trusting my parents. And
right.
so since I grew up in a really healthy household, whatever my parents taught me, I just believed. And so having people that question my faith causes me to question, okay, why do you actually believe what you believe? Just like in health and nutrition. Like if somebody asks me a question like, hey, why are we doing this exercise? And I'm like, well, that's what all leg days have this exercise in it. Like that's not a good enough answer. Like I need to be able to tell them, well, we're working this muscle group and that's going to give you this, like it's going to help you with this skill in life, or it's going to let you look like this because you're working it in this way, kind of things. And so but and I mean you said friendship, so that's kind of one thing. um I think it's totally different with a relationship. You need to make sure that at your
Yeah, I
core
agree.
beliefs in with someone in a relationship. Now you don't have to, like, I do believe that you debate with your partner and things like that on the little things, but the major things you want to agree with somebody in a relationship. But even somebody in a serious friendship that you're spending a lot of time with, um if they have vastly different morals and beliefs than you, watch how, like, they say you are, like, you become the combination of the 5 people you're closest to or something like that. Like, the influence of the people that you're around is huge on your thoughts, on your, spirit, the way you carry yourself, your attitudes, your beliefs, all those things. So if somebody believes like a totally different thing than you, or even if they're, I mean, the way they practice their beliefs. Are they positive? Are they hopeful? Are they full of faith? Are they patient? Are they, displaying the fruits of the spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self control. All of those things. Or are they, constantly worrying, constantly complaining, depressed, thinking negatively, critical, sarcastic? All of those things. That's going to affect you. So kind of also monitor your own emotional health and well-being. And I think it's totally fine to have friendships where you are trying to influence them and you're trying to be the positive in the relationship, but try to make sure that you also have friendships that are feeding into you.
Yeah.
So hopefully did you have more thoughts on that
No,
question?
I think that was really good.
Okay, this is also a great question. Totally different spectrum. And I'm really interested to hear what you say. I have thoughts. Okay. I'm interested in a man and we've talked a lot, but yet to go out. Is it okay to invite him to an event?
My thought is yes.
I okay, so here's my thought. I would just say, I mean, if you want to, sure, go for it. I would say I am always to a fault. I want people to pursue me. I want them to ask me to be included. I don't want to push myself in somewhere because I don't want to ever be annoying. And I also don't want to ever be the pursuer in a relationship. However, what I'm learning is this came from a girl, obviously. Boys are very like afraid of rejection. Like, stereotypically, it's always the guy asking and the girl gets to say yes or no. right? And so guys don't like being rejected because none of us like being rejected. So they're going to look for a sure sign that you are going to say yes before they risk asking you. And as girls, our sure signs are often so subtle, they don't even get them. So you have to be really, if you want a guy to ask you out, you basically have to say, hey, dude, don't say dude. I've been commanded, ordered not to use that word anymore. So I'm trying not to. I'm so sorry. I grew up on tour with like 30 guys and I'm the only girl. So yeah, you get what you get with me. But
Same.
what was I saying? Oh, you kind of gotta, you almost have to be like, and you can say it in a flirty way, but like give them a sign that's literally like, hey, if you ask me out, I wouldn't say no. You know, like you almost have to give them permission, like, hey, you can ask me out, I'm gonna say yes, but you don't necessarily have to ask them out. But if you can give them a clear enough hint, like, hey, I'm interested, I would say yes. I've heard it described as like dropping the hanky, like back in the day when hankies were a thing in like the 1800s, ladies would literally, if somebody was walking by, no, I'm serious, and they liked that person, they would drop their hanky, and then that person would be like, oh, you dropped this, and then have a conversation. So like the idea is give him a big enough hint that he feels safe asking you out.
But at
That's
the
what I
same
was saying.
time, she's like, she's got an event.
But if yeah, if that's
Ask him.
hey, I need a date for this event.
Hey, what do you
Do you
think?
mind?
Like,
Could you do me this favor
yeah,
and take me to this event?
Yes.
I literally,
100%.
I was almost about to post as a total joke. Okay, let me say that really clear. The Royals are playing the Astros tonight, and I was almost gonna post on Instagram. Hey, who wants to take me to the Royals game? Super easy, right? I'm not gonna do that. Nobody asked me out.
So, oh,
Nobody asked me out. Okay, not. Okay, got another one. You ready?
Yeah.
For another one. Okay. Maintaining healthy friendship with a close friend you dated but didn't continue dating. I have thoughts. Okay. I this might be controversial. Argue with me in the comments. I would love to debate this. I don't think, and this is from my own experience, I don't think boys and girls can be close friends. I don't. I literally don't. I don't know. Can you be friends? Sure. Close friends?
I agree with that. I would
It's
agree with
too
that.
dangerous.
Yeah.
One of you, if not both, is going to develop feelings.
Yeah.
It's going to happen because we were created that way. And when you have a relationship with someone, it's like what we've been talking about this whole time. You oh, what was I gonna say? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, the principles that go with a friendship go with a relationship too. So if you have a close friend that you're sharing like emotional things, you're sharing your, your fears, your joys, the successes in life, things like that, you're gonna bond with that person. And if you're both single, one of you at least, probably both, but one of you is gonna get feelings. So I would say if you're trying to be close friends with a girl, I don't care if you've dated or never dated, are saying I would never date this person and she would never date me. Yeah, think twice. If it's not your own heart, think about her heart. And yes, I think you can be friends with the opposite sex. Do I think you should be close friends? No. Now this is a totally different dynamic because you're trying to be, let's just take out the close part because I've already, that's my opinion anyways. Maintaining a, let's just say, just a basic friendship with somebody where it's not awkward. That is, I'm going to say, if it feels too awkward, just let it go.
Yeah. And
You don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to be enemies with them, but you don't have to be friends.
well,
with
and I
them.
think my thought on it too is yes, it started as friends and then you dated and then you broke up. To continue that friendship, and then let's say you get into another relationship with somebody else and they they know that you at one point dated this person. What is that gonna feel like to your new, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I mean, you can maintain like a
Yeah, we're not saying you have to be enemies with this person.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't waste your energy on trying to build this friendship.
Same.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
There are other people to be friends with.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, and then one more question. Also, so this is the same person. Do you think, oh, this is good. Do you think a stubborn girl wants to be stubbornly pursued? So I'm gonna assume this person has already told you no. Because otherwise, why would you call them stubborn?
Yeah.
And so you're asking now, you can clarify in the comments if I didn't get this question right, but I'm assuming you asked them and they blew you off or said no, but you're in a way where you're wondering if they want you to pursue them a little harder. Probably not. So I would, and if they do want you to pursue them harder, you totally dropping it is going to be, then they're probably going to start dropping hints.
Yep.
Because if you totally drop it, they're going to be like, oh, wait, they actually took my no as a no. Oh, well, maybe I actually did want them to say yes. And, so I would completely drop it. I would just treat this person like a friend. Pursue other people if you have other people in mind, or just live your life, live your best life. The most attractive thing is you living up to your full potential.
Yeah.
Trust me, the most attractive thing to anyone, male or female, is someone who is living up to their full potential. So focus on your physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health. Focus on working hard, saving money, being successful. Serve in your church, have lots of great friends, take care of your house. If you don't own a house, save up for a house, things like that. Focus on building a really great life. If this person really did want you to pursue them, they're going to start noticing and they're going to start dropping hints.
Yeah.
And let them be nice to them. And then if they start dropping some really obvious hints, you can call them out on it. You can be like, hey, I know I asked you one time and you said no. And so feel free to say no again, but it seems like you're dropping me hints like you might want me to ask you again, which I would love to do. But I'm also okay if you tell me no, I'm not going to ask you again. So it's okay. But look for those pretty big hints, because if they did say no, I would just drop it. Live your best life. If they really did want to ask you, they'll start noticing that.
Yeah.
I think that is literally the most attractive thing, is if somebody is literally living up to their full potential as a person. Thoughts?
Great. I agree.
Okay, do you have anything else that you want to talk about? Because those are all my questions.
I feel like that was good. I'm glad that we wrapped that all up, because after the way we ended the last one, I just felt, it just didn't feel great. I mean, I think just because it was stuff that we hadn't talked about, we needed to talk about, we hashed it out. It felt like a therapy session for the two of us. I don't know how it felt to all of you,
Welcome to our therapy session.
This, I feel happy.
Good. Well, I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want for you guys in the comments section, if you would. Any questions you have about our friendship, we're here, we're open books, obviously. We'll share. Any questions about a friendship issue that you're dealing with, or hey, is this situation, is this worth me pursuing, or should I let it go? With friendships, or hey, dating and relationships, this girl is
marriage, like my married people, you got anything?
My single people. I'm kidding. I know nothing. But yeah, and then
she's
also,
learning though.
I'm learning. I'm in school right now. School of dating.
She's a hard student sometimes. I'll tell you that right now.
I skip a lot. I do not do homework.
If you doesn't listen well.
No. Talking glass. But also, we will be doing an episode. I would love to do a Q&A episode, so if we get enough questions, we'll do a Q&A. Other than that, our next episode might possibly be some dirt. So if you guys have questions on that, post them in the comments. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.